I received a great question today. Can my business buy rental property in another state without registering as a foreign entity? So here's the setup. Imagine you have an LLC. You might be in Minnesota where I am, and you want to buy property, real estate, in another state. You're going to buy that property, you're going to rent it out, maybe on Airbnb, maybe to a long-term renter. But what you're wondering about is, if you buy the property inside an LLC, which is always a good idea, do you need to register that LLC there in the state where you're buying the property? In other words, does your local LLC have to be registered in that state? The law says yes, but a lot of people don't do it. And so you might be wondering, what's the consequence if I don't do it? I get that it's a pain to register. It costs money, it takes time, there's typically an annual renewal. Sometimes there's a fee for that, it depends on the state. It can be nearly $1,000 or up to $1,000. So a lot of people don't want to do it. What happens if they don't? In short, they may not know if they get sued. Let me explain. So you use your LLC, you buy property in New York. There in New York, you have a deed for the property, and that deed lists the owner as your LLC. You do not register the LLC in New York because you don't want to pay the fee. So instead, you just put the property up on, let's say, Airbnb or VRBO. And you have renters come in from time to time. So far, so good, no problem. You think, hey, this is great. I'm saving money. I'm not reporting this to the state. Why would I actually register as a foreign entity or a foreign LLC in New York? Let's just not register. Well, here's why. Imagine somebody at the property gets hurt, and they then go to sue the owner of the property for negligently maintaining the property. Well, who is the owner? It's an LLC. But that LLC isn't registered in that state. So under most states' laws, the person filing the lawsuit can serve that lawsuit not on you, but on a state government office like a Secretary of State or Department of Commerce, or a similar office that handles the registrations of foreign entities. Now keep in mind, you're not registered there. So when that paperwork comes into the government, they don't necessarily know what to do with it. So you don't know about the lawsuit. But legally, you've been served the lawsuit because the plaintiff, the party initiating the lawsuit, did what they had to do to start the lawsuit. So guess what happens? You don't respond to the lawsuit, and so now the plaintiff gets to win by default. The court issues a judgment in favor of the plaintiff. So now you have lost in trial, or your LLC has lost in trial. What happens next? Couple things. First, often that judgment will become a lien on the real estate in that state. Now, if you bought that real estate with cash and there's no mortgage on it, you now have a lien on your property for the full value of the judgment. And since you didn't have an opportunity to defend yourself, the judgment is for whatever the plaintiff asked for. That scenario is the first problem. But let's say you had a mortgage on the property, so you don't really care about that lien. Now what the plaintiff can do is figure out, where is your LLC actually registered. It's not too hard to do that with a little internet searching. And then they transfer that judgment to your state. From there then, they can garnish and levy anything you own or anything the LLC owns. That includes bank accounts, so any cash there. They can also send you a post-judgment discovery request to find out who owes you money. So, well, who owes the LLC money? Probably the tenants, maybe Airbnb or VRBO. Then they can go after and garnish that. So you can see the problem. If you're not registered as a foreign entity in a state where you're doing business, and that includes owning property, then you may not know if you ever get served a lawsuit. A lot of people don't register their LLC as a foreign entity. And until they get served a lawsuit, it's not a big deal. Nobody may ever know. The government may never do anything about it. Now, what is the risk of somebody actually serving the lawsuit on a government entity rather than you? It depends on the circumstances. Because think about it. If the tenant or renter decides to initiate a lawsuit, they know where the LLC is located. They know where the checks go. The name of the LLC is right there. What I find, though, is it's plaintiffs who initiate a lawsuit who are trying to avoid you knowing about the lawsuit that then serve the government office. So there is definitely some risk in not doing a foreign entity registration. So for example, if you have a Minnesota LLC, like I do, and then you go and do business in another state, if you want to know about whether any lawsuits are against your LLC in that state, you need to register as a foreign entity in that state. Now, I didn't get into any issues of taxes. Taxes are a separate matter as far as state tax and owing money there. That's an issue where you should talk to a CPA. CPAs are very knowledgeable on that. I'm Aaron Hall, an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurs. If you find this helpful and you'd like other videos like this, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. But another thing, I give out a free handout for common problems faced by business owners and how to avoid it, and then subsequently send out free videos on how to better understand those problems and prevent them in your business. The whole goal of me doing this YouTube channel is to use the years I have as a business attorney to help business owners avoid problems, so hopefully you can have a successful company and a successful life.